Baba, can you talk a little bit about the receiving of your Hanifa and that process?
Okay. So the last time I spoke of more of the understanding what it is and who should give it and what's your title, what should you have your basic understanding of that. But I do want to talk about, like, I don't think I mentioned how long it takes. I know we talked about prices and everything else, but I do want to talk about how long. People say it's 3 days. I would say it's on a course of over 3 days. You don't have to sleep at the Godfather's house. This is something that you come and you go home, you come back and you go home, you come back and you go home. There's variations and there are certain things, but it should be 3 days. Anybody giving you your Hanifa, giving you your awofaka, giving you your Ikofa over 1 day through the mail, I don't agree with. And there are some major red flags. Any Babalawo house which is the one that should give it to you, does it by himself with one person, that is also a red flag. It requires 3 Babalawos. There's a whole dynamic of why there's 3. There's one that sits with a rumila and 2 that will throw obi to a rumila. There's history within the Ochebile that explain why there were 3. There are 3 Odus that come out in Ita. Everything is within 3. And if there is an emergency that is done, can it be done in emergencies? Listen, you have to ask yourself, what is your situation? Are you like found out you have a terminal disease and you came in and you have to leave the next day, and the Babalao's coming in and their schedules, a lot of times the Babalaos might have a set of Inkins already kind of washed and fed, and what they'll do is they'll give you Nita, they'll present them to you, or maybe they'll do the feeding. The next day, they can't wait 3 days. But let me tell you what you should do as opposed to the extreme exceptions, or what I would start to say, maybe things leaning towards incorrect. It should be done over 3 days. Usually, let's say we start on a Friday and end on a Sunday. But it doesn't have to be. It could be a Saturday and a Monday. It could be a Sunday and a Wednesday, or Tuesday. There is the first day, which is of the Osain, the consecrations, the feedings. The Babalaos are working. And in my house, also the Abetabises. That's a subject for someone else. There's a lot of Babalaos who don't agree. A lot of Babalaos say only this is a ceremony for Babalaos. The Abetabis don't belong in that room. To each his own. This is for Hanifa and Ikofa. This is not for Babalao, Achefa, Unsefa, Babalao initiations with Odu. This is Hanifa, Ikofa, and Abetabis work alongside us. On the other side of the door, even helping us with the Osain, helping us when we're doing the knocking of the door. On the other side and the inside, the Abetabis are alongside of us. In my house, if you don't like it, don't do it that way. But I'm going to tell you, in this, what we're doing is, we work the Osain, the creating of the Osain, the herbs, the ripping, the whole 9 process to consecrate an Osain, which is the Ikofa Osain, the Palangana, the thing that's going to hold the herbs, the praying and the washing by priests, Babalaos, calling and singing out the Osain. There are animals, there are birds that will need to be fed and consecrated. First, the person as a prerequisite has to have the warriors. So understand, if you have not received your warriors and received your Ikofa, received your Elegua later, in some Ishesha houses or in some rare cases Lukumi houses, they'll be like, he didn't give me my warriors, I got it afterwards. He gave me my Kofana, I received my Elegua at a later date. I had to say, I'm sorry, you didn't receive anything. And I don't care if it's an Ishesha thing, if you didn't receive your Elegua or Elegua wasn't fed or Eshu wasn't fed in that ceremony, and then did it later, they did it 4 days later, another day. In my opinion, my strong opinion on that one, I believe is incorrect. This is not about it. I believe it's different ways. That's just incorrect. Elegua needs to be fed, the birds, the appropriate birds, with the warriors. The initiates need to have their full sets of warriors first and brought to the day of the feeding to feed Elegua or Gun pot with Ochosi, and your Osum have to be fed, the appropriate birds. Then after that, the Arumila is brought in, and Arumila is fed the appropriate birds as well. I don't want to reveal too much what happens inside that room, but you have to know there's a feedings, and there's a ceremony done by door. There's a things that are being done. Then now the middle day, Saturday. This is where there's variations. Some say there's a day of putting the gachioros, the ademus, the acheses of the animals. Fine. Some say that's when you get the head cleansing and the initiates get the rogacion or corporilidad. Fine. Some don't do anything. That is a day in between, a day of rest. Because the consecrations was Friday, the first day. And you have to wait 3 days. Some need say you got to prepare yourself, you got to have cleansings, you got to do this. Or some say, no, the process is the first day and then you wait 3 days so Arula can then speak to you. It's called an itah. And there's a process called nangareo, with a drink that's prepared with ingredients called sara eko, cornmeal and things, other ingredients that are put in it. And it's done usually.
That is the nangareo process. There's the ritual obi to olorum to olodumare, to witness and out of respect that you're getting your ita, a life reading coming from God, coming from the Creator, coming from olorum. That Ahumila will be the intermediary and the medium to speak to you and give you your life reading that day, on that Sunday, on that third day. Then there's the small ceremonies that are done afterwards, during, before, and after. But that's the ceremony. That is something that is done regarding a Hanabifa, Ikofa ceremony.